Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're joining me from. Welcome to another edition of To Speak My Truth. I am Priscilla Frederick Loomis, the host of the show. Good morning, good morning. Hopefully you guys are doing amazing. I'm actually really excited this Monday morning, which really doesn't happen. I'm not a morning person, guys. I don't know if you know, but I'm still drinking coffee. And I'm very excited because I have a really good friend of mine who I met through my husband, Ken. And he's a country artist. I'm like on this country artist kick right now. And I'm loving it because they're saying yes. But Joe is a really good family friend. And before I got married, my husband, Ken, would follow him everywhere. And he's a great artist. I think he has residency now at like the Tin Roof Orlando. So he's like a real deal. Like he has like residencies and he travels around the country and around the globe promoting this really great project called the Freedom Project, which I can't wait to talk to him about. And he's a father and a husband and a great country artist and songwriter. So I'm excited to add Joe to the list of my... So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Joe Bachman.
Hey, what's up?
Joe, I'm so excited for you to be here.
How are you? Is my picture all right? I just want to make sure.
Oh,
right.
You're good, Boo. Beautiful. And of course, it's perfect timing because Ken is now, of course, he like heard your like that little bit. Now, he's like, Joe!
Oh, there he is. What's up to you both? I miss you both. Oh, my
goodness. He's gonna, I guess, are you gonna join him on the interview? Or you wanna, okay. He's gonna pull up a chair.
Love it.
He just finished teaching. And he was like, what time do you have Joe? And I was like, 12. He's like, great, I'll be there. And I was like, of course you will. Nobody else does he make the time for. He's like, I'm gonna play my video games. So now he wants to join in and be here. Oh, yeah, Mary says hi. She misses your face. Joe, how are you?
I'm good.
You're good?
As good as can be. I mean, these times are
crazy.
Yeah, they really are.
Right? Like, if somebody would have told me that, like, I would have had to stay home and, like, not be able to go out and, like, my track season and now, like, you're touring and all the kind of stuff, like, everyone would have been forced home. I'd have been like, yeah, right. Like, there's no possible way that the whole world would just shut down and we all have to, I guess, just stay in our homes. And I don't know if it's the same for you, but I've been asked a question at least 40 times. They're like, how are you? And I'm like, I'm phenomenal. I love staying home with my husband. I love being forced to spend time with him, cook, like clean and just be together.
No
Is
doubt.
that the same for you? Because you travel a lot.
I do.
Is it the same? Like, do you feel like antsy or are you like kind of enjoying this time?
The best answer I can give you is 50-50. I spent 20 something years touring 200 plus shows a year. And as you guys know, maybe a lot of your listeners don't, but last September was my first time ever coming off the road for as far as a full-time gig. So in Halloween of last year, I started this residency at the Tin Roof in Orlando. Yeah. So literally, without any exaggeration, starting Halloween of last year, it was the first time I slept in my own bed every night for 20 something years. And that was huge. It was a huge thing.
That is.
And then all of a sudden, when COVID happened, not only am I sleeping in my own bed, but I'm literally not going to work. So on one hand, I've embraced being a stay-at-home father and husband for the first time in my life. So that part has been magical, watching my daughter every day and being able to see all the things that I've always missed as a road guy.
Yeah.
As somebody that has lived on the road and slept in hotel rooms and been on planes 5 days a week, I'm going stir crazy like I've never gone before in my life. So I'm definitely wearing two hats. And
yes.
My daddy taught me for a long time, life's about perspective. So I try and keep it as positive as I can.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, how old is your daughter?
She turned 4 in December, so 4.5 right now. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And she's adorable. Yeah, she really is. She's so cute. So if you guys have any questions for the people who are joining in, coming out, if you have any questions for Joe, you just look at the bottom of your screen. There's a little question mark with the square around it. Tap that, and you can ask Joe whatever you'd like. And if I can get to it, I definitely will. I'm honestly very, very excited to talk to you because I've wanted to talk to you about your music, the Freedom Project, and your residency at the Tin Roof in Orlando.
Yeah.
And then, of course, as I'm doing my research, you are with Rockridge.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. So you are a man with a resume that just keeps going. And I mean, for me, it's so much to balance my little lifestyle and keep him alive. So I forgot that I have to keep him alive. Once I got married, I just realized this. Once Corona hit, I was like, oh crap, are you taking vitamins? Like your cholesterol? We have to worry about that. So these are things that I'm learning along the way. So you have that, like your regular life. You're also a husband, you're a father, and then you have these 4 major projects that you are working on or part of. How do you balance that?
You're asking me the single hardest thing of my life. I'm a self-admitted workaholic. And up until I had my daughter, my wife and I have been together 10 years. We've been married 6, been together 10. And we always joke that we kind of have that military relationship. We love to miss each other.
Yes.
So I've been on the road, like I said, for my whole career. And if I'm home more than 5 days in a row, Malazi's like, you need to get the hell out of my house right now. Like, it's too much.
Time to go.
Time to go. And we love that. We love missing each other. So we've always had that great balance where it's like, all right, I'm going on the road for 2 weeks. Peace out. And she's like, I'll see you when I see you.
Yeah.
And it works out awesome for us. But obviously my daughter changes that. So the balancing act has been the single most difficult thing I've ever gone through, because being a dad, first and foremost, I tell everybody I wear a lot of hats. Being a dad is my first hat. Mm-hmm. And she, obviously, my daughter is on, we believe in consistency. We believe in time schedules. So my daughter's in bed every night at 9:30, and she wakes up every morning at 7:30, 8 o'clock. And so those times in between, I need to make time for her no matter what. Yeah. So it's a lot about forcing myself to turn off the phone. It's a lot about forcing myself to, all right, hey, you got to make time for this. So the daddy thing is number one, always will be. And then, like you said, I got these different hats, right? So this is my residency, right? So that's every Thursday, Friday, Saturday from 6 to 9 p.m. and then Sundays 4 to 7, right? Now, obviously, we haven't done that for 2 months. Then there is Rockridge, and so I'm in artist development. So they were the record label that I signed with when I signed my record deal in Nashville. Okay. And that was back in 2012. I met those guys. For anybody that's ever heard of the band Sister Hazel, I went out on tour and opened for them for a couple summers. Oh, cool. And that was their label. And so their label signed me, like I said, back in 2012. And then we went on a radio tour and all that stuff. So now I find new artists to work with and sign to either management deals or record deals. And I love that, because I absolutely love finding new talent and going out. And so for me, anytime I'm at a bar, I'm working. You know what I mean?
Yeah, seriously.
Anytime I go to I found artists at Disney Springs. And then, like you said, last but not least, Freedom Project. That's a huge passion of mine. You guys have known me now, and you've seen me for years, and how much the military means to me. My dad was United States Army for many years. Okay. And so the Freedom Project is literally just a passion project. Myself and 2 of my friends, Robin and JP, the 3 of us got together. And my concept for this was, look, there are literally hundreds of thousands of troops that come home that are fighting PTSD and TBI, which is post-traumatic stress disorder and traumatic brain injury. They're coming home, they fought for us, and they're having a really difficult time transitioning back into civilian life. Yeah. And so we wanted to start something that we could give back, but I didn't want to have one definitive charity, because every single 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, different charities start up that I think are amazing, that I think are totally different. I met a guy down in Southern Florida at the end of last year, right before the holidays. And he has a company that he does free yoga for our troops.
Oh, wow.
And he has 2,000 instructors around the country. Huge, huge thing. And he doesn't charge our troops. It's all a nonprofit. And so he was telling me about the effects that it's had on our troops that have come home and let them. So that's an example of, I meet somebody brand new and I want to help them. I want to help. Yes. So what we do is we make these shirts, and I did a CD called Freedom.
Yes.
Every single song on the album is written for, with, and about the troops.
And this is one of them, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember because he played it in the car, and I was like, wait, is this like Joe? And he was like, yeah, it's a whole album for the troops. And I was like, that is amazing. And like that dedication speaks so much to your character. And I will say that. And I think to care so much and to care so much about America, where you live, where you're from, and especially in times like this where there's so many like things that divide us, I think it's just so important to focus on the things that can bring us together.
No doubt.
I absolutely love it. I appreciate you and your mission, and I love that that's your focus. And I love that it's no matter how many hats you wear and what you're doing. I mean, obviously you're trying to find new talent, you're going to bars, you have to do all this kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, your core is so humble and nurturing. And I love that. And I hope that people, when they see you, they get that same love and that same passion, and they can kind of see that and want to expand that as well.
Thank you.
So I love that. And that's why when the night that we met you, or I met you, was the night that, quote unquote, we fell in love.
Oh, wow.
So it's Joe, it's mainly because of you.
It's
so thank you.
That's incredible. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
so right?
Night on the boardwalk. Yep.
At the pier.
No, I remember what night I met Priscilla. I didn't know that was the night you guys fell in love. Wow.
Yeah, because we were.
Is it weird that I also fell in love with Priscilla the same night?
I mean,
not at all. I mean, I was the only black person, and I'm the only chick with purple hair, so I kind of stood out. So there was no way you couldn't fall in love with the random mermaid that just kind of came upon the pier. But I thank you so much. It was such a fun night. It was so great, and we've been following your journey ever since. And I would see him. You had every Thursday. You were at Keenan's.
Yep.
Sure was.
And I would watch his stories. And I was like, there's no way that this boy is going every Thursday night to see the same guy.
Yep.
It's like the same band. And then when I finally met you, I was like, where's Joe playing next? Like, where can I go see him next? And we were just so, like, you captivate every audience that you're a part of. And your music is so strong, and I absolutely love it. Are you currently working on new music?
Oh, yeah. I finished. So my first album ever was called One. That was when I signed my record deal. That was released in 2012.
Okay.
And my second album was called Freedom, which I released last Veterans Day.
Gotcha.
But the Freedom album, as I said, that's 100% for the troops. That's every song on that record is written about the troops. So of course that doesn't apply to everyone. My third record, which is by far my most personal record, 14 brand new songs. I wrote 22, I believe, for the record. And it's going to end up at 14. We went in and recorded all of the music. So I went to Nashville, recorded all the music for the record. All we're waiting on is for me to go back to Nashville and cut all of the vocals, and then we'll release it. But this album is, for me, without question, the most personal record I ever wrote, because I spent about 3 years just writing my stories. So this record that's coming up, it's just as personal as Freedom, but it's meant for everybody. So I don't have a title yet. I don't have a release date yet, but yes,
okay.
It's done, everything but vocals. And then hopefully, if everything goes as planned with COVID, then I'll be able to release this record this year.
Oh, wow.
Awesome. Great.
That's amazing. That's so exciting. And I have to give you an applause for that. That's amazing. That's so great. production team is really great back here.
I love it.
We're doing great over here. But that's really great. I'm really excited that you are going to have new music, and I did want to play one of our favorite songs from. And I feel like that line is so speaking to me because I'm always the girl dancing on the bars, or I used to be before I got married. So
you still can. I mean,
yeah, you still do.
If it gets people buying you beer, so I don't have to, and saves me a little money, then let's do it.
Oh my goodness.
You know?
So, okay, so we're gonna come back. If you have any questions,
well, that's how I first heard Joe. I don't know what year it was, Joe, but you were at the XTU Fest in Camden one year.
Yeah, that was 2012.
That's when I heard him. When I heard that song, I'm like, oh, that's a cool song. So when I moved down to Wildwood and I saw the sign that he had his residency at Keenan's in the summer, I was like, I gotta check this guy out. I remember him from back when. And then not only did
I didn't know that, Ken.
Yep. So not only did I guess, fall in love or respect the artist, getting to know you, the person, has been so much better. So that's why I always make sure whenever you are near or around us.
Oh yeah, we
make
figure it out.
Like we will plan, hey, we know Joe's coming, July 8th. Book it. And then whatever else happens that day, sorry, we're unavailable.
Yeah.
We plan out months in advance, to see you because you're a great performer, but also just a great dude who we want to support any way we can.
I love you guys for that. Thank you.
Oh, we love you. Do you feel like you do you connect with your fans a lot? Like, is that what you want?
Yeah, that's what kind of attracted me to country music in general.
Okay.
I was living down in Key West in 2006. And I was playing down there. If you guys are familiar, there's a guy named Pat Croce. He used to own the Philadelphia 76ers. Yep. Pat bought a bar down that, he built it called the Rum Barrel. Built it in 2005. And then in 2006, he moved me down there to become like his full-time house band. And, as a cover artist, as somebody at that time that was playing pretty much anything that was popular, sure, I had played a couple of country songs, but it wasn't like the avenue that I was going completely. And playing there and living there, I got to meet everybody from Kenny Chesney to Big Kenny from Big and Rich to Toby Keith and Zach Brown. All these guys come through and they record down there. And so Big Kenny from Big and Rich invited me to come to his home studio. And I went there in 2006, and I just absolutely fell in love with the city of Nashville and the whole concept of country music, and country music is about the stories. And
yes,
there's people that hear songs, and there's people that just love a beat or they love a melody line. Yeah. I'm a story guy. So for me, it was always about telling the stories. And so that's what made me fall in love with country music. That's what made me fall in love with Nashville. And then, the way that, you start writing songs in Nashville is you get together with some of these great songwriters. And so that's how the whole thing happened.
Wow. That's incredible. And I was going to ask you how you fell in love with country, because I think it's something like, obviously it's not something that's big in the African-American culture, but it's something that meeting Ken, I did fall in love with, because I love a beat, but I do love the stories. And some of these songs that I'm starting to hear, the lyrics are so they're not just one culture. It's literally just for people. It's for everybody. Okay. And I spoke to Tyler Rich on Friday, and I asked him, I was like, oh, such a great guy. And it's so interesting because I asked him about the genre of country and how he feels about it branching out and people saying country music isn't country. There's a song on the radio that says, I wish country stations still played country music.
Right.
How do you feel about the genre of country evolving, in a sense?
Loaded question. How do I feel about it? I feel like, so I grew up, when Thriller came out by Michael Jackson, I wore a sequence white glove for 2 straight years.
Yeah, pictures?
What's that?
Pictures? Is there evidence and proof of this?
Oh, I'm sure my mom has. Yeah. Michael Jackson as a songwriter, as a singer, as most of all performer, he absolutely started my love and passion for this.
Wow.
And
he said the same thing.
Tyler Rich, yes,
Yep.
the same thing.
Tyler
Is that
did the
right?
same thing.
Yeah.
Tyler was like,
Michael
Michael Jackson was like a huge influence.
Well, I think any of us that fall within this same age group, when you saw MTV when they used to play videos, when you saw Michael Jackson, Thriller, or Billie Jean, like you stopped in your tracks, you know?
Right?
Like I still get chills right now, and this is,
Yes.
you know, 30 years later. So I come from a world, like I love boy bands. I love R&B and hip hop. I absolutely worship 90s hip hop. I also love real, genuine, old school country music. My dad only listened to, he wasn't a musical guy at all. He listened to two artists, Johnny Cash and Willie Nelson, and that was it. Nothing else. Nothing. You don't get more traditional country than that. I think the issue that both listeners and artists have really does come down to something as simple as title, right? So if somebody said, hey, this is modern country, and hey, this is country, and they literally define the two, I don't think people would have a hard time with that, right? Mm-hmm. But when you put rap in the middle of traditional country music and you call it country, then those people have a really hard time with that. And
yes.
I don't. I mean, for me, music is music. I love the idea that if I hear something I like, I keep it on and I turn it loud. And if I hear something I don't like, I turn it off and go to the next station. Yeah. It's never bothered me from a standpoint of intertwining genres, because there's only so much you can do with a few chords, right? You can only do certain. So if people get creative and they take country and mix it with rap, or they take, you know, as an example, ska. Like ska is a genre that was invented, right? Because people got creative and said, hey, we're going to mix a little bit of reggae with a little bit of this.
Yep.
And so I love it. You know, there's artists out there today, Sam Hunt, Kane Brown. I think they're incredible. I know that they're not everybody's taste, and that's totally okay. But I think you guys have seen Kano and I do What Ifs by Kane Brown.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I love it. I mean, to this day, we do that song, and I still love it like the first time we rehearsed it. So I have absolutely no problem with it. But I'm going to take this one step further. You, as an African-American woman, like you said that when the night we met, when you were on the boardwalk, we're known. Country music is known as a racist genre. It's just, and I have tried, because of where I've come from. I mean, my first tattoo I ever got in my life was Bob Marley. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But that tattoo's 30 years old, right? And I have Bob Marley. Right below him, I have Bono, and on my leg, I have John Lennon. And everybody says, why those three? I have stood for one love. That's what the three of them stand for. I believe in it. So for me, I've tried to break down those walls. In the country music genre, it's unheard of. So as an example, 2 years ago, you guys remember my buddy Hunter that used to sing, right?
Yes.
So I had my arm around Hunter in Bristol, Tennessee, for 13,000 people that we were headlining at a NASCAR race. I'm pretty sure Hunter was the only black person that was out of 13,000. He was the only one.
Probably.
And I stood there with my arm around him in front of 13,000 people, and I said, I hope that every one of you can learn to embrace what I'm doing right now. And I had my arm around Hunter, and I said, even though this genre, even though NASCAR, even though what you guys have done for years, we as a country are beyond that. And so getting fans like you to embrace country music, you deserve artists like myself and artists like Casey Musgraves and artists like Kane Brown that are willing to step out and break down those walls and say, this isn't about white versus black. This is about people that love music. So I love that you've embraced something that so far hasn't embraced you and where you've come from, because I hope that we can do that, you know?
And it's something that I definitely think is, as I move out of track and field, it's obviously, I love interviewing people and I love doing this. I love the entertainment business, and it's something that I've always had a passion for. And speaking with Tyler Rich, going to your shows, listening to country music, I truly, and especially now with things that are happening in today's society. And I do think it's one of the missions that I do have is to break down those walls, because most people see me and they're just like, I've always been criticized that I wasn't Black enough or I wasn't this. And so for me, now I'm 31, I'm just like, I don't really give a shit about what you think about me or what I want to listen to. I like country music. But my biggest thing is I love music. And if it speaks to me, it speaks to me. And I remember being in Georgia, driving from Florida back home, and I wanted to stop at like a little peach farm. And my date at the time was like, stay in the car, we're going to keep going. And he was white, and he was like, you don't know what you're doing. And for me, I'm like, if I need to break down those walls, then I will. If that's what my platform will be used for. And now that I'm getting more and more country artists because of him, and the more that we go out to these country, like my first country festival was going to be
this summer in Wildwood.
This summer, yes. And so for me, and Garth Brooks was at
Piccadilly, I think.
No, yeah, something down here. And I wanted to be one of the interviewers because they were having like a radio raffle. And I'm like, I wonder what the perception would be. But just because other people aren't accepting of our relationship or me doesn't mean that there's not somebody else in there that won't appreciate what they're seeing, who won't appreciate me, who won't appreciate us. And if it's that one or two people that see us now feel a little bit more comfortable and can open that door up, I think that's what it is. We can't continuously just keep hating. We all, like, sometimes you have to be the love that you want to see. And so that's pretty much where it's going. And we spoke about it, and I was like, wow, I have Tyler, I have, Joe, and then next Friday I have Jimmy Allen. And so
love you.
So it's like this thing that I'm like, I hope that if there's one thing that comes from this show, it's love. That's the biggest thing. I mean, I'm a Catholic. I taught CCD. And they would give me all this curriculum, and I said, it doesn't matter. You have to teach these kids to love. Love of all people, love of everything, love. And so I love that that's what you speak to. I love that that's what you're promoting. And I think it is important for us to make these kinds of connections, because I notice it when I go. And I'm the only Black person. I get it.
Sure.
When you had Hunter on stage, I was like, this is amazing that he, as a country artist, was like hired an African-American man, and they worked so well together on stage.
Yes.
Like, it just worked. And I love that that's what you're promoting, and that's what you've always promoted. And so I mean, I appreciate you. You know that. I love you. And I think it's absolutely amazing. And it's something that I definitely think needs to be said more. I think it needs to be
see, and that's what I think the problem is. Like, as an example, you guys know that I'm friends with a lot of people in the NFL, right?
Yep.
The NFL is as type A macho man as you can possibly be.
Yes.
Obviously, they have no issues whatsoever with Black versus white. Like, that's a world where they've been intertwined since it began.
Yes.
But there is no pro-gay in the NFL. You have to hide that if you want to be accept. So I use that analogy the same way that I use Black and white in country music. It normally, in the world of country music, you're supposed to ignore that and pretend it doesn't exist until you either have hit a level of superstardom to where it doesn't matter, or you just kind of blanket it and cover it up. And so that's what I think the problem is that people are so afraid to speak up. Like I said about, do I think I lost fans at NASCAR? Yeah, I do, because it's a notorious racist sport. It's a notorious racist genre of music. So me standing up there with my arm around a Black guy in front of 13,000 people, but I'm hoping, because the cheers were so effing loud. Like, so when Hunter literally on the microphone, after I put my arm around him and I said, this is what it's all about, and the crowd went crazy, Hunter said on the microphone, "Damn it, Joe Bachman, you just ended racism." And it was a beautiful moment. But You know, I go back, and I'm sure you guys aren't familiar. Maybe you are, Ken, but we're talking back in the early 70s. But there's an artist, David Allan Coe, that released one of the most racist albums of all time back in the 70s. And I have, my entire career, I have had people request songs from him, and I look at them and I say, I won't play that racist guy. Plain and simple. And I've said that since 1990.
Wow.
And there are people that look at me and they're like, oh, that's bullshit. It was in the 70s. Well, it might have been in the 70s, but it still affects me today, and I'm not a black man. So I think what you're saying about breaking down the wall, I mean, you just talk about Georgia. I'm so huge on social events, and it means so much to me. But like this thing that's come out over the last couple of weeks about Ahmaud and him being shot down in cold blood by two racist rednecks in the middle of Georgia, as a quote unquote country artist, or as a white man, it's the accepted thing to do for me just not to comment on it, right? No matter how I feel, it's accepted for me not to say anything.
Yeah.
I choose to say those two white guys are absolute scumbags, and that they give people like myself a bad name, and they give the average human, regardless of color, race, genre, religion, they give us a bad name, and they deserve whatever you believe in, either life in prison or be put to death. It's disgusting to me. And it does take people to speak up and say, I'm not a hate guy. I'm also not John Lennon. Like, I'm not here preaching everybody literally love one another in a physical manner, you know? But I am saying that we as a country are better than this. We as a world are better than this. And I think it's time that we have to speak out and say, hey, I love you regardless. And if it makes you feel like I'm actually with you by me denouncing that, then you deserve that. You know, you guys know, I think you might have seen me there before, but I used to play the Philadelphia FOP. And I don't know if you've seen me there, but it's not too far from where. So I used to play there once a month. So the president of the Philadelphia FOP became a very, very dear friend of mine. And I remember saying to him, anytime these shootings would happen, and this is John McNesby is a large white man. He's a big white guy that has been. And I remember asking him, the first time I asked him, it was just him and I in a back room. So he could have said whatever he wanted to say. And I remember saying, like, how do you react to this as the president of the FOP? How do you, and he could have been like, oh, fuck those scumbags, right? He could have said that. But he looked at me in the eyes and he goes, those people give real police a bad name, and I despise them because we're not that. We're not who they stand for. And again, I'm a country artist in the back room, so he could have said the exact opposite. And he didn't. And I remember thinking, oh, that makes me so glad to hear. And so we need more people that aren't afraid to just publicly denounce and say, it's not who we are. That's not who we stand for.
Absolutely. And I think it's really true. And especially somebody in your shoes who, again, you're a white man that's in country, people are going to speak their truth to you.
Always.
They're behind closed doors. You're going to find out who, you know, these people are in their true colors. And I love that you're not afraid to, you know, stand up for what you believe in, and you say exactly how you feel. And even though it's not, it may be an unpopular opinion in the, you know, the shows or whatever, I think it's important that you do stand up, and I love that you do. And that's exactly why we love you so much. And I will say, there's a guy who was watching, I don't know if he still is, and it's called This Is Drastic. I met him at a meet in the islands, and he's a reggae. Why is this going weird? He's a reggae and soca artist.
Awesome.
In Antigua. And he's absolutely phenomenal. And he says, I don't sing country, but I can if you want me to. And it's just so funny because this is somebody from the Caribbean who doesn't know you. And he goes, music knows no race or genre. It's just music. Yep. And that's what it is. And I will say, oh my God, I'm literally breaking this as I say it. I will say, this is my issue with certain genres crossing with country.
Okay.
When Chris Stapleton and Justin Timberlake came out with that song, it was phenomenal. It was two incredible artists who care about music And you know this, right? But my problem is I feel that when there's new country artists coming out, and I truly don't believe that there are certain rap artists or pop artists that love and respect music the way that I believe so. So there are people who take 20 years to put out albums and speak their truth and study music, study culture, and have these influences. I don't think that every single artist out today believes that or studies the genre. So I feel that there's certain country songs with mixed genres that I'm like, it's not for me. It's not real music. You put it out to make money and to get on the radio, and it's the beat, and that's what I don't like. So I can respect people who come out with country, like Thomas Rhett mixes with people, and he's trying to. That was the first person that he put me on. He was like, listen to Thomas Rhett, and you can.
If I want to get you in the country, here's Thomas Rhett, here's Florida Georgia Line. Let me wean you in a little bit.
And I love it but again, you love their music, you love that, and when they're mixing it. But when you're just trying to put out a hit and just to get people's attention, that's what I think I have that problem with. Because for me, I'm like, it's supposed to speak to the person. You're supposed to get chills when you listen to certain kind of music. And I think that's my little issue. And it's when they call it country, and I'm like, that's not country music in my head. That's just for me. And that's what I think. And of course, it's the unpopular opinion, and I get that. But I just don't want an African American to go on a song just to go on a song. Like, I want you to actually love the artist, respect that country artist, and add value to the song so that it's something that is truly doing what music does, and that is touching somebody's soul, speaking to them. That's what I want to see more of. So when the Jimmy Allens and the Kane Browns come out, it doesn't matter what their color, because it's country music. That's right. What I love. And so for me, I think that's why I love interviewing different country artists, because I'm getting your perspective. I'm asking you how you feel, and these are having real life discussions. And it's crazy that color and pigmentation can separate that. I think it's really crazy. Like, I mean, CMT, you go on and there's no African American interviewer.
Totally agree. Well, maybe I can put, because as you know from me saying I wear different hats, I'm an artist first and foremost. This is what I've done for 30 years. But
30 years? Woo!
I mean, I've been writing songs since I was 13 years old.
Wow.
But all that said, I also now am an artist development and music management, right?
Yeah.
So I can put this into perspective for you on both sides. As an example, I met Tyler and BK from Florida Georgia Line. I met them way, way, way before they were ever signed. Yeah. Way back in 2011 in Nashville, like, we were just hanging together as hoping to get record deals. Mm-hmm. Tyler comes from, like, born and raised in a small town in Georgia, but Tyler comes from old school hip hop. Like, even though he writes and lived country music, born in a small town in Georgia, he listened to Wiz, he listened to Nelly. Like, that was genuine and sincere. So when Cruise was written, which he was a writer on, yeah, Cruise became the biggest selling country music single in the history of country music, right? When that happened, Tyler and BK are the ones that went to the record label and said, we want Nelly in on this. Like, I don't know how insane that is, because nobody knows who the hell we are yet. Yeah. But we want Nelly. Okay, so from a writer standpoint, it was as genuine can be, because these are two guys that wrote this song, truly loved Nelly, thought that he would be perfect. Nelly heard the song, loved the song. Not only did Nelly come in on the song, but Nelly then spent 4 years touring with them, opening for them. Yeah. So it was a much
shows in Philly.
Oh, were you?
Okay. So it was a much more organic, real thing, right? Mm-hmm. So that's one side. Now on the flip side, and this is where music is so weird. Pop music, R&B, hip hop, and pop. Justin Bieber, Ariana Grande,
Yeah.
they sell 10 times more than country music. As a genre, pop music outsells every other genre 10 to 1. Okay. But country music is the only genre that's selling out stadiums as far as live music, right? Justin Bieber can't go into Philadelphia and sell out the Link for 70,000 people. It doesn't happen. That's not how they work. So when you have record labels that hear a new song really, and I won't throw out names, even though I could give you names, because I don't want to disrespect friends.
That's why I didn't say names. I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't want to disrespect nobody.
No, I feel the same way. And these are friends of mine that I don't agree, but these are friends that put out music, and the label came in and said, do you know if we added XYZ to this from the hip hop genre, do you know that you'll sell another 500,000 singles? That is where I think it's total bullshit. And I think people like you, even though you're not in my business, you can see right through that. You can hear these don't belong together. These don't feel right. And I'm right there with you on those, right? And there are certain ones that absolutely feel right. And there are certain ones that are, you know, Kane Brown, if you listen, like Kane Brown was signed because of YouTube. And if you go onto YouTube and look at the videos of Kane before he was signed, Kane Brown sounded like and wrote songs like Johnny Cash. He's got a voice that low. He sings old school tradition.
We were just talking about him yesterday.
Yeah.
Yes, he's the truth. Yes.
So Kane coming in and bringing on all different Kane is an incredible writer. That's what he does, in my opinion. That's what he does best. So for him to bring in bigger hip hop artists and try and break, I just feel like it always sounds real and authentic, in my opinion, you know? And I know people that I'm very, very, very close to that despise Kane Brown because they don't think that country rap thing is and I have no problem with that. Like, if you're not into country rap, it doesn't faze me. Like, you can listen to, you know, traditional country all day long. So I agree with you 100% where when it's fake, when it's processed, when it's put together by the label, it's garbage.
And you can hear it. And I think as a consumer and people who love music, we love different genres of music, but I respect artists who put out, and you can hear it. You can literally hear when, and I'll put up a great example was J. Cole. J. Cole didn't want to put things out just because the label said so. He wanted to put out music that he truly felt and was going like it was his own. And for me, it's like it's I can hear it. As a consumer, I'm not, but again, I'm not in the 18 to 28, you know what I mean? So I'm not like just getting a bop out. Like, I want real music. And I think, do you feel it's because Kane is half black that they don't like it?
No, I don't. I think there are friends of mine that are like worship Garth or worship Keith Whitley or worship their genre, what they love is traditional country music that has steel guitar and tells stories, and they're not rap fans. And then I have friends of mine that, and I'll use his name, Oz. Like, Oz is one of my best friends in the world, and him and I toured together for 6 years. Oz came from boy bands. Like, he loves NSYNC and Backstreet Boys. If you play Oz anything from Eminem to Biggie to Tupac, he'll sing every single word. And Oz writes traditional modern country music. He tells stories. He has beautiful songs. Oz can't stand the combination of the two, right? It has nothing to do with he doesn't like, you know, black artists or rap, because he loves it. You know, he buys tickets to their events. He buys their records. He just doesn't like the combination of the two. So I think that there are people that just don't want to see the genres combined. And then, of course, I think there's the artists that are, the fans that are racist and they don't want black in their country. I think it all exists. But to go back to one quick thing you said a couple minutes ago, the beautiful thing is, from the fans and especially the artists, I can look you in the eyes as my friend and tell you that 90% feel the way I feel. I truly believe that. It's the smallest percentage of people
Of course.
that are racist.
Yeah.
They're always the loudest, right? And I feel like it's not about breaking down the barriers. It's about making people feel comfortable enough to denounce. That's where we're at. Because people do feel like we're all one people, like we're all Americans, you know? People genuinely feel that way. But for whatever reason, they're so afraid to be backlashed by that 10%, whether they're NASCAR fans, whether they're country music fans, or whether they're just want to be left alone in the middle of middle America. But when I walk around and I go to these shows and I see these shows, like there's a reason Jimmy Allen has number ones, because people don't give a shit. Like Jimmy's a great singer. Jimmy's a great human being. So he's being accepted in the genre. Yeah. But it took a lot of people to knock down those walls and not be afraid to try that, right? Because when you sign an artist, you're investing $1 million in an artist. That's the way it works in Nashville. So somebody had to say, I'm not afraid to put $1 million in this guy and see if it works. So that's the one thing I stand firm on, is I believe that for the most part, we're all good. I really do believe that. That's
good to know.
It is.
It is. It's very comforting, especially for the other side. I do want to ask you before we get to Ken's last question. And you can plead the fifth on this, because it is to speak my truth. So I want your honest answer. The song by Billy Ray Cyrus, and I don't even know the other artist's name. It's like it was a really big.
You talking about Old Town Road?
Old Town Road.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? You can plead the fifth if you want.
I don't ever plead the fifth.
Joe,
first off,
please the first.
Yeah. Well, first off, just so you know, Billy was a remake. Billy has nothing to do with that song. The artist is Lil Nas X.
Sorry, I don't
Lil Nas X is not only a black man, he's a flamboyant gay man.
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew that.
No, I did not. I sensed it, but
from my understanding of that is Lil Nas X put it out as country and they wouldn't let it be country, so that's why Billy Ray redid it so it would become a country song.
That's 100% accurate. Lil Nas X put the song out, and from, again, wearing my hat as a manager, brilliant marketing move. What Lil Nas X did was wrote this song. This is a totally unknown artist in the basement of his house, right?
Yes.
Writes this song, records this song, and basically spends months putting it up on every version of social media that he could find, because that's the only thing he could do for free.
Yes.
And it became viral on its own. And the country music community, and I hope you guys understand this, because there is a definite, clear difference. They didn't accept it because they felt that they were being mocked. They felt like this black artist was mocking country music, and country music has an unbelievable, like, we're very proud of what we do as country music. So when everybody first heard it, everybody thought that this was some guy that was mocking our genre, and therefore it was, fuck you, get this thing out of there. When artists like Billy Ray reached out and found out that this wasn't him mocking, that he actually loved this genre, Billy was the one that was like, you know, if I put my name on this, people will listen. People will at least give you an opportunity because people respect me. So Billy didn't, it wasn't just Billy that did it. It was 2 or 3 other remakes of that song. All of that said, I hate the song. I can't, like, I'm not a fan of the song just because it's not something, I don't care if Garth Brooks wrote it or Lil Nas X or whoever. When I heard the song the first time, I was like, it's just not for me what I would listen to. But I'm one of those people that hugely respects when, quote unquote, the masses prove me wrong. I totally respect that. When I look at a song and something comes out, perfect example, Justin Bieber, he just released a song called Yummy about a month ago, right? That's his new single.
Yummy?
Yummy is Justin Bieber's new single. It's about a month old. And the first time I heard it, I literally almost puked. I was like, this is such garbage, right? And I always read like all the comments the first day on Twitter, and it seemed like everybody that listened to it said the same thing. And
Okay.
here we are a month plus in. It's sold multi-million copies of it, and people now that said they hated it day one are loving it. So when it comes to Old Town Road, I do not like it. I don't like the song. I wouldn't buy the song. But what he accomplished,
yes,
by putting that song,
I don't think that's ever been it's never been the issue for me. It's never about what can sell, because my generation brought Superman That Hoe, and we made it the biggest friggin' song
sure,
in the world, right?
Yeah.
As I got older, I just respect music a little bit more, and I will say that's the first thing I thought of when this song came out. Was it sounds like he's making fun of country music.
Correct.
That's all I heard, and it was just a niche to break out. Because people on YouTube, if people like it, I mean, you're going to get that market of 16 to 25. You're going to get that. People are just going to put it out. And for me, I never even heard of Yummy. Never heard it. I just saw that Justin Bieber came out with a song with Ariana Grande. That's the song I thought you were talking about.
No, that's Yummy's a month older than that. The one you're talking about stuck with you. Yeah.
Never even heard of it. And I think that's why I almost kind of, in my head, I like country music, because I do feel like the artists put out things that are true, that are genuine, that are real. Like they spent months on it. They're telling a story. Same thing with hip hop. There are certain people you can tell the different caliber of, you spent time on this. You're really telling a story, or you want a hit. You just want some money rolling in. You want to be in front of people being like, look at my chains, look at my lifestyle. And that's not it at all. And I mean, you can see the work and the ethics that go into it. That's why people in the country genre, there are some people out there that respect, you know, Diddy and Jay-Z and Biggie, because there is a respect there. You're an artist. We respect each other. And I think that's where sometimes I'm just like, I can't get into it. And that's the first thing I thought of, was he's disrespecting country. And it's not my cup of tea. I don't think it's anything. And I don't know if you've ever seen this, but at your shows, I think like whenever like it came on, or oh my God, why am I blanking on her name?
Who, Kano?
Kano, yes. Whenever Kano would start playing it, I was like, time to go get a drink.
Sure.
This is my bar break.
Like
that was it, and that's why I wanted to know, because you are somebody that goes out and finds artists. So I wanted to know if it was something, but I'm glad to know that the true story behind it, and I'm glad that he loves country music, because I do love it. But I thank you for opening up and talking about it and speaking the truth. I love it, and it is something that I hope that I can get into. I think it's an interesting niche. If Ken and I are the interracial couple that is now at CMT Awards and all this kind of stuff, just being, you know, doing what we love for a genre that we both love.
I'll say this that I think you'll both find interesting. If I opened up either one of your, for lack of a better term, iPods, now they're phones, but if I opened it up without even ever seeing what you guys are into, I would venture that if I opened it up, I would find everything from rap to country to rock to hip hop to Motown.
Yeah, that's very true.
Very true.
My top 5 artists are like it's like Luke Bryan, it's Otis Redding, Sinatra, Springsteen. So it's Jackson 5. There's just a wide variety for both of us in what we like.
So with that said, take this in, because this might, especially you, Priscilla, this might totally change how you feel about what you just said. The only people that are closed-minded are radio. And the reason for that is because when somebody tunes into 92.5 XTU, they're not looking to hear hip-hop. They're not looking to hear R&B. They're looking to hear country music. Mm-hmm. When 99% of people, if you open up their phones, 99% have a million different genres. Mm-hmm. I love old school jazz. Mm-hmm. I love country. I love singer-songwriter. I think the greatest female singer in the history of the world is a woman named Ava Cassidy. She sings jazz standards. I've listened to her for hundreds and hundreds of hours, right? You guys have heard of a country band called Dan and Shay.
Mm-hmm.
Huge artist. Shay Mooney, who's, in my humble opinion, one of the top 3 voices in country music. Shay Mooney was signed by T-Pain 10 years ago. Shay Mooney was a hip-hop writer. And the hip-hop didn't work for Shay. Shay went to Nashville at the recommendation of a few people, met Dan Myers at a house party, ended up writing 2 or 3 songs the next day, and they're the first and only artists in the history of their label that walked into their label to do an audition, and the label didn't let them leave, literally handed them a contract that day, right? And now they're one of the biggest selling artists, and they did a duet with Justin Bieber called 10,000 Hours.
Yes.
Because they have the same manager, Scooter.
Wow.
Scooter.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. I didn't know Dan and Shay had the same manager. Okay.
But I'm bringing this up to say, people can, like Thomas Rhett. Thomas Rhett's daddy, Rhett Akins,
yes,
one of the biggest writers in the history of country music, taught his son, Thomas, obviously everything he knows, right?
Yeah.
Thomas considers himself a traditional country artist. If you listen to Thomas's last 2 records, he's anything but traditional.
No, exactly.
Right?
Not at all.
He's gone down the hip. His new record coming out is totally traditional country. It's going back to the roots.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we live in a world where the record label that puts out the $1 million is talking to the country music radio. Country music radio is what gets everyone paid.
Mm-hmm.
So we actually are, when I say we, I mean artists. 99% of us, if I wrote something in country that you could hear my Michael Jackson roots, I'm as real can be. I'm not doing that to sell records. I'm doing that because that's a part of who I am, right?
Yeah. Yep.
The problem is that there are labels and there are radio stations that absolutely refuse to let us do that because we're a brand that they're trying to sell, and they're only trying to sell us as X, Y, and Z, right? But to circle all the way back, if I ask the 2 of you right now, who is the biggest country artist in the world right now today? Who would you guess?
In the world today,
Female or male?
Male.
For me,
go ahead, for you.
I would say Thomas Rhett.
Okay. Ken?
I would say probably Carrie Underwood and either
male.
Blake Shelton or Kenny Chesney.
Okay. Blake Shelton's a good one. Yeah.
Blake Shelton's a good one. The answer is Luke Combs.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Luke's great.
Damn.
Now, there is no one more real in the world. He has not wavered. He has not tried to do something else.
Nope. That's his niche.
He has a lane, and he's never wavered. Now,
Yep.
Luke Combs is an overweight redneck from North Carolina that puts out songs that are as real as country as they can be, and somehow has landed in the top 10 of all genres. So in other words, everybody understands why Taylor Swift has crossed over into pop.
Yes.
Everybody understands why Shania Twain crossed over into pop.
Yes.
Everybody understands why Florida Georgia Line that did something with Nelly and the Backstreet Boys.
Yes.
But why and how has this redneck boy crossed over into pop? And the answer is because you cannot fake something as real as Luke Combs. And the world sees it right through it. The world's like, you know what? This dude speaks his truth. And I've said for as long as I can live, the reason that Adele, Alanis Morissette, and Taylor Swift are the biggest artists in the world is because they write their truth.
Yes.
Period.
I love it. I'm so sorry. We are running out of time.
No, we're good.
See?
Totally.
I'm so upset. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Love you both.
Absolutely phenomenal. You know how much I love you. I thank you so much for being a part of the show, for speaking your truth. And of course, that's like the end of the theme is speaking your truth, being honest to who you are. And I think you are doing a phenomenal job, and I wish you all the success in the world. You know that I love you. We will support you for forever, and we definitely will talk soon.
Love you, buddy.
Love you.
Love you all.
Bye.